What do you got on the fact that they went out and got Kyle Tucker? The fact that they were like, oh yeah, Edwin Diaz, he's a decent closer. We'll just bump Roki out of the closer position. How is that received by your teammates? But also, how do you receive the negative backlash that everybody has brought about, all the evil empire and the Dodgers are ruining baseball and all that chatter?
Well, first off, it's exciting as a player. It's really exciting for us where you're adding two really big pieces, and it's not really like we needed anything, but adding two big pieces like that, it's very, very exciting. I think for us as an organization, you can't really worry about what is being said on the outside. We just have to worry about ourselves, and that's how we've always gone about business. We just try to worry about what happens in the clubhouse, what happens on the field, and let everyone else say what they want away from us. It shouldn't affect us. We just need to be out there focused on ourselves, and that's how we've always gone about business. It's how we're going to continue to go about our business.
Max, but seriously, it's your fault, okay? It's the Dodgers' fault. Everyone's saying it's all the Dodgers' fault that there's going to be a work stoppage and a salary cap. Can you guys handle that pressure this year of not forget three-peating and trying to win another one? But it's all the Dodgers' fault that they spend money and they actually try because they make so much damn money because they spend money and try.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I guess it's our fault.
Everything else is the Dodgers' fault. Global warming, the ice, the snowmageddon we just had. It's all the Dodgers' fault. I mean, everything. It's like the Dodgers have ruined every sport now. So way to go, Max. I'm super proud of you that the Dodgers win every year and you guys ruined everything in the world. Way to go.
Yeah. Sorry about that. It's like I said, we just try to worry about ourselves, and the fallout happens after that. But no, I mean, the work stoppage thing that was going to happen, and we don't know if it's going to happen, but look, we're not adding any more fuel to that fire. If that happens, it was always going to happen, and it's not going to only happen just because of us. That's a totally different issue that I don't really want to fully get into at this moment. There's gonna be plenty of time for that over the next year, but we just got to focus on ourselves.
All right, something you have to get into is the guy they were just showing a picture of right next to you, Kyle Tucker. Obviously, big league vets like him and like you don't have to sit down and be like, Kyle, this is how we do this. How do you guys as the Dodgers make him feel as comfortable as possible to hit the ground running on opening day?
That's where spring training is so important. It's for him to come in and start. As a new player, one of the hardest things to do is learn faces. You're talking about clubhouse attendants, training staff, strength staff, coaches, all the, front office guys that help us out, the analytical guys. It's a lot of faces to learn. And so, the easiest way for him to get acclimated is to kind of just get to spring training and watch how we do things. Cause like you said, we're not going to have like a sit down meeting and be like, okay, this is how the organization runs. He's just going to see how that unfolds on its own. And, that's where we've always done a really good job in spring training with new guys is we just kind of go about our business, and they immediately pick up on what we do within 2 or 3 days. And, everyone's just focused on us and focused on getting better each day. And what can we do each day to get better? There's one little thing we'll work on every single day, and that's what we're focused on the most. And it's all about winning a baseball game. And, that's always been our number one objective is just win the game that day. And, guys pick up on that pretty quick.
Were you involved in the recruiting pitch for any of this? Did the Dodgers call you and say, hey, we need you to reach out to Edwin Diaz? He's a pretty good closer. We'd like to have him. Hey, Kyle Tucker's thinking about coming here. Max, reach out and make this guy feel comfortable.
No, I wasn't involved in any of that. I don't know too many guys that were involved in that. I think those deals kind of just came together. Obviously, I'm not.
You guys, Max, you guys are so good. You sell yourselves. You don't even have to remember when you guys were all meeting for dinners with Shohei, all secret dinners. Like, oh man, we got to have secret dinners with Shohei. And now people are like, forget that. I want to have dinner with Max Muncy, and please make them come to me now.
No, I mean, obviously I'm not in the war room with the front office guys, but my understanding is those deals kind of just came together. I think those guys wanted to come here, they wanted to win, and obviously we gave them a lot of money, but that's one of the things that we've created here is people know about our culture, know about what our organization is about, and they want to come be a part of it.
Are you a little mad that you guys signed Diaz? Because you got decent numbers against him, or are you fine now that you're not going to need to face him anymore?
Oh yeah, I'd rather not face him. I don't care what my numbers are. It's not a guy that you want to face.
Speaking of a guy that you don't ever have to face, and anybody has to face except for WBC guys, Kershaw. What do you think about him finally getting his chance to pitch in the WBC? Because from what we heard, it was insurance before that he wasn't able to participate, kind of like what's going on with Correa and Altuve right now. And what do you expect to see from Kershaw when he throws in the WBC?
I'm super pumped for him. I know he really was bummed that he couldn't do it the last time. He really wanted to, but like you said, there was an insurance thing, and it just, for him, it wasn't worth that fight. So I'm excited to see him go out there and get to put on, the United States jersey. I think that's a cool moment for, any baseball player to be able to rep their country. And I don't know what to expect out of him. The only thing I can tell you is that he's going to compete. That's what he's always done. He goes out there and competes to the absolute best. And, the chances that he gets to pitch, I can promise you he's going to compete and he's going to be fiery out there. But, I don't know what to expect. I don't know, when the season ended, I don't know how much he's kept his arm in shape. I would imagine when you make that decision to retire, you're pretty set on not throwing a baseball again. So I don't know where he'll be at, but it's going to be really fun to watch, and I'll be cheering him on for sure.
All right. First of all, as long as he rocks the dad body, there's nothing more American than him walking around everywhere with no shirt on and the total dad. Go for it, Clayton. You deserve it. You've had an unbelievable career. First ballot Hall of Famer. But is this maybe a hint that he might not be retired? He might come back because, man, if you're retired, why the hell do you want to get all up and get ready to pitch in the WBC every once in a while? Like, you think if you're retired, like, no more throwing, no more working out, no more any of that. But Clayton's like, nope, I'm going to pitch for the USA.
No, I think he's pretty set on being retired. His body has been through so much. His arm's been through so much. And, he had to fight through a lot of stuff last couple of years. And, he's won 3 World Series, back-to-back World Series now. And, I think he's pretty okay with where he's at. And, he's such a good dad at home. And I think he's ready to take that on full time that, unless he comes out in the WBC throwing 95, I think he's pretty set on where he's at.
We discussed it. That wasn't going to be our next question. We discussed that. If he pops a 97, do you think, because of the competitor, the person, you also know the father and husband that he is, does he say maybe? Because every other year he's tried to do the heavy ball stuff, and it's like still just 89 sliders down and away, down and in, 2.3 ERA, and finishes the season out. Does he come back if he pops a 95 or 97?
Look, I don't think so. Like I said, I think he's pretty content with where he's at. But in years past, he's already well into his workouts, been ramping up, right from the season ending, and who knows? Given his arm a little bit of a break, even though it was only a month or two, he may come back and his arm might feel great. And, if he does throw 95, he might think I could do this out of the pen for a year. But no, I really believe he's pretty content with where he's at.
We agreed on the show, but it's a fun exercise to talk about it.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Your manager, Doc Roberts, said he would love to manage the 2028 Olympic team for Team USA. Do you want to see the big leaguers play in the Olympics? And do you think Doc would be a great manager, even though he'd have to go right up until the day before the Olympics started with you guys and then bang right into Team USA?
Well, first off, yes, he would be a great manager. He's elite at what he does. He's so good at knowing his players and knowing how they operate. And, If you had professional players in the Olympics, he's going to know every single one of them. So there wouldn't be that I got to get to know my players phase. He'd be able to get right into there and be able to know everybody and manage them. And, if there were professional players, the first thing that he would do would be he'd get in contact with, all the coaches of those players just to learn, more about those guys. And, the thing with the professional players being in the Olympics is that would create such a long break in the middle of the summer that, I don't know if that's a reasonable thing to do. Because you're not going to continue the season with star players not playing for their teams. If they're gonna be in the Olympics, you're not going to keep the season going. I don't know if I have a good answer to that. Just would I like to see it? Maybe, but at the same time, that's kind of what the WBC is for. It's almost like Olympic baseball, just not in the Olympics. The WBC is a really fun event that I really enjoy watching, and I think it's really cool. But to do it again in the Olympics, I don't know.
We just talked about Roki Sasaki, and Dave Roberts came out and said, "Oh, he needs a third pitch." Have you faced him in like live BP? And does he need a third pitch, a slider, a curveball, or something? Because fastball split coming out of that pen in the playoffs was pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, being a starter and being out of the pen is, your pitch mix has to be a little bit different. If he's sitting 100 with the split, it's because the split is so unlike any other pitch that's out there. It's almost more like a fork ball. He threw a couple splits last year that had like 700, 800 RPM on it, which, that's getting close to knuckleball territory. I don't know if he's sitting 100, he probably doesn't need another pitch. But, when you look at some of the guys out there, you look at, Paul Skeens or, DeGrom, they all have the third pitch that they mix in there. And it's just something to keep the hitter off balance. When there's only two pitches you have to worry about, your approach becomes a little bit more simple. And when you're talking about seeing guys 2-3 times through an order, it's you got to have just something you can throw in there as a wrinkle, even if it's not a very good pitch. You just have to have something to throw in there as a little bit of a wrinkle.
Did you happen to catch Shohei Ohtani's MVP acceptance speech? Any parts of it?
I did not, no.
Okay. Well, when you go back and check it out, because he did it all in English and did a very good job, fans have been clamoring. They're like, we rarely get to hear Shohei speak, let alone in English. How is his English? And what is the one thing that you guys get on him for when he's speaking English to you guys? And because you've said it multiple times, he's very comfortable. He usually speaks English. He rarely uses an interpreter in the clubhouse. And he didn't use an interpreter when he got his MVP award.
Well, he can speak baseball very, very good. But speaking baseball and speaking just normally is two different things. And, in terms of like a speech, he obviously had time to practice that. He knew what he was going to say. That's a different story than if he's doing an interview with, where questions are coming at him that he doesn't know what's going to be said. In the clubhouse, he obviously speaks, good English. Cause like I said, he can speak baseball very, very well. It's always been cool to see him interact with teammates. Cause he really tries. He definitely really tries. He's not a guy that just says, "Oh, well, I don't know. I'm not going to try to learn." He really tries to learn what his teammates are saying, and he tries to interact. And that's always been a cool thing for me to see, is that he cares. He cares enough about his teammates that he wants to learn how to communicate with them.
I need to ask you a question. Do you have a selfie with Shohei?
No, I try not to bother him with that kind of stuff.
I got one. I got one at the awards on the stage. Shohei. I was nervous as crap. John Franco, I don't know if you know John Franco, the old pitcher for the Mets legend, was sitting next to me. And Shohei was up on the stage at the awards. And John's like, "You think he'll take a picture?" And I was like, "I don't know. Let's go together. He won't say no to both of us, will he?" And so we just kind of ran up there real fast, and we got him real quick, John and I. Hey. And so now the next question is, if I bring a copy of that to spring training, will he sign it for me?
Probably not. No, I mean, like I said, like all my teammates, they get bugged so much with that kind of stuff that I've never tried to be one to ask them for anything.
Listen, listen, Max, it was a once in a lifetime shot, so I took the shot. Okay, just because.
Hey, you have to.
Yeah, there it is. There you go. Look, I mean, when are you going to get a picture with you and Shohei in tuxedo? I mean, that was my shot, so I took it. I took my shot.
And you're dressed up nice. It's going to look good hanging up in the office, right?
Right now, just think if I sign it, it goes down in value. If he signs it, it goes like way up in value. Even if he writes to AJ, I can take a little something and wipe that off with. Man, I could sell that for like $1.
Well, I wouldn't put that out there for him to hear. You're going to wipe off.
First of all, I would never do any of that. So let's just understand. I would never do any of that. I just want people to know
that. Max, who gets bothered the most? There are many famous teammates at this point. Who gets bothered the most for requests, photos, whatever else that pops up at the ballpark each day?
Yeah, I mean, it shows probably the top, but it's tough to pick from all my teammates. I know Kersh got bugged a lot last year because when it became known that it was his last year, the requests started flooding in. Guys wanted to make sure they try to get a jersey or a ball or just anything. So I know he got bogged down quite a bit towards the end of the year last year. But yeah, show's probably at the top.
All right. I'm going to finish with, I got 2 fan questions on here.
Hold on, Scott.
Yes.
One this. It's nice when you're Max Muncy and you're a star, you've done a lot of special things, and you walk around and, hey, Shohei, hey, Mookie, hey, Freddie, hey, Will, hey, Yamamoto, hey, Roki, and then your Max is
Max, can you go get Shohei?
Yeah, exactly. You just kind of slide, like Kyle Tucker can just kind of, as good as Kyle Tucker is, he can just hide behind Shohei and Freddie and Mookie, and you guys just walk in and nobody even, Hey, Max, can you please get Shohei to sign my picture for me?
I really don't mind that at all. I've been very comfortable with where I'm at, and I've been very comfortable with who I am. And at the end of the day, all of those guys being in here just gives us a better chance to win. And that's when I get to go home and look at the 3 World Series trophies I've got, and it's a good reminder every single day that it's it really takes a full team effort to win these things. And every single year, and last year was actually really cool. The World Series last year was obviously really cool to me just because it took every single guy on the roster to win that. If any one of those guys was missing, we don't win that World Series. Every single person on the roster played a big part in winning that World Series, whether it was a catch or a hit or a certain pitch or whatever. Every single guy contributed to the one last year, and so it's just it's such a team effort that I don't mind being in the shadows. It's fun.
Max, I'll queue up a fan question here, and I'll try to combine actually both. So the fan jokingly asked, or maybe not, are you going to practice the wheel play in spring training this year? Do you guys have it down? And other fans have asked also if there's anything that you're working on or that you changed in the offseason. So I'll kind of mix both of those questions together, because we had Nolan Arenado on yesterday, and he actually said he's done many things differently this offseason. These guys can probably comment more about what he was saying, but it had more to do, I guess, with rest, diet, whatever else that he's trying to switch up as everybody gets a year older and you try to be the prime version of yourself. So thoughts on both there?
Well, first the wheel play. No, I don't know that we'll practice it this spring. We'll practice the usual bunt defenses, and we'll see what Bobby G has drawn up for us once spring starts. But as I talked about it last year after we ran it, that's a play that we hadn't practiced since the pitcher stopped hitting. And it's just one of those things where it just kind of came together in the moment. And if we have to run it again, I think it'll be another come together in the moment type of thing. And Doc's going to trust the players on the field to know what they need to do. And obviously we'll have a discussion about it, but I don't think we'll be practicing it. And as for the other question, I think the thing that most of us have done this year is just having the experience of being, in the World Series multiple years now, understanding how important rest is. So I think most of the guys I've talked to have been on the same program that I've been on, that we haven't started any baseball activity until, the middle of January almost. Some guys are still just now starting and just trying to give your body as much rest as possible, knowing that if we want to make another run to November, you got to be as rested as you can to get through the summertime. Most guys like to hit and throw all year round, but for us, we got to have that rest. And so most guys have just pushed back their training until now, starting now, knowing that spring training this year is going to be more how it was, in the old days, where spring training is almost like your off season, where you're really starting to ramp up in spring training instead of showing up to spring training fully ready to go. Which you guys have seen that evolution just as the years have gone by. It's more and more you have to be ready from the first game of spring versus, you're using spring training to get ready.
All right, before we let you go, are you and Kersh the only two guys that have all 3 rings? Or Kike?
Mookie.
Kike, Mookie, Will.
Oh yeah, geez. There's a whole lot of y'all.
Yeah, and then D May and Tony Gonsolin count.
Oh yeah. Man, there's a lot. Yeah, man, that's amazing that you guys have kept this many guys together for
Doc?
a long time.
Well, yeah. Well, obviously Doc, but yeah, I think that might be it.
That's pretty awesome, though. That's a lot because I look at teams now. The 2021 I'm just using the 2021 White Sox. There's not one player left, and they didn't win anything, and their team's all gone. But usually when guys win, that the free agent contracts or this or that, they leave. Whatever. It's just an amazing feat that you guys have kept that many guys together for so long. It's a credit to the organization and the people on that team, honestly.
Yeah, it's been a fun ride, and it's it's just really cool to have that group of guys to have been through all of this together, and it is pretty wild that 3 World Series, 4 or 5 years of winning 100+ games. It's been a good ride.
今回も動画をご視聴いただき誠にありがとうございました。今回の内容はいかがでしたでしょうか。もしよろしければチャンネル登録と高評価をしていただけると今後の動画制作の励みになります。それではまた次回の動画でお会いしましょう。